everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division with various type of wind here for the Redwood Cup Tournament in Golf Clash the game. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, and before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You find a button in the bottom right corner, click it and be a subscriber. Also, you can visit golfclashtommy.com for more Golf Clash related content for absolutely free. You can then get the best guides, the text guides on the market for tour and tournament play by going to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. We do go with a summer special now for the ultimate tournament text guide packet, the best guides on the market. Check that out. Link in the description down below. Also, can we get this video to 100 likes? That would be absolutely amazing. So hit that thumbs up, show your love and your support, and I'm forever grateful. You can follow the info box on the right hand side. There I do have the elevations I will start playing these holes with, combined with what ball and what club type that I do think is going to be valuable in those situations. Have in mind when it comes to elevation is a floating number, which means that you can play a different elevation and play the same type of shot. So just because you play a different elevation than me doesn't mean that you're wrong, and it doesn't mean that I'm wrong either. It just means that we have two different ways of attacking that specific hole. But if you do want to follow my adjustment explained here in this video, you do follow the elevation adjustment I have suggested. The elevation adjustment can be found as well on golfclashtommy.com whenever you want to take a look at that. This is a tough tournament. The Sequoia Creek is, in my opinion, one of the tougher courses has been made by Golf Clash. Also, one of the most beautiful and well thought courses out there. Par 5s are super duper tough to get in the eagles. The par 3s are very tough and tricky and inconsistent. The par 4s, there is where we should put our focus, and that's what I do in this playthrough as well. In the end, thank you so much for watching, and let's freaking go to hole number 1. So, we're gonna start with the drive, and here you can see we can play left, and with a tailwind we could technically reach green. Otherwise we could also play left and just lay up if we want to, but there is a very thin fairway and it's going to be difficult, especially if you don't feel comfortable with the way of adjusting with rings. So, if we're gonna take the safest route possible with still a good chance for an eagle, we're gonna play right. Maximum distance with a 20% over adjustment is what we're gonna do. And we're gonna go as much topspin possible with 1 bar of left spin. And then the ball is gonna bounce on the fairway over to the other fairway, and we're gonna try to gain as much distance possible. And you know, always with me, I do have a plan, or at least trying to have a plan. The second shot is gonna be played with a backbone or whatever long iron you might have. Here we do have a tailwind, and I'm gonna try to play with 1 bar of topspin going for a rough bump. This rough bump is pretty big, which means that even if you do misadjust with a half a ring here and there, you will still be able to clip the rough anyway. And that's, you know, what I want to look at when it comes to a rough bump possibility. Do play this one maximum distance, 10% over adjustment here, and then it's time to take our shot. Perfect ball, and the ball is gonna come in nicely towards the pin, except for one thing, and that is the speed. So if you're gonna go for this rough bump in tailwind, we're gonna go without any type of top or backspin. If we do have a crosswind, we go with half a bar of topspin. If we do have a headwind, we go with 1 bar of topspin. And once again, don't forget the 10%. So this is going to be a good opportunity even from the right side, and I do believe that playing on the right hand side instead of playing with the difficulties that is with the drive on the left is gonna be more beneficial than in a long-term stage. But in the end, that's up to you how you want to play it. Let's take a look at hole number 2, and this one is going to be a very difficult one in my opinion. Here there is a rough bump, but that rough bump is honestly very tiny, and I would not recommend you to play that rough bump if you are not feeling extremely comfortable with the adjustments that you're having. Here I'm using my first target to be pretty far up here, using 3 bars of backspin, but honestly we should have used 4, and you're gonna notice why in just a bit. Here I do play with a 20% over adjustment, and I'm using maximum distance numbers. And I'm satisfied with the way that I'm using the elevation, I'm satisfied with the way that I'm using the club distance. The only thing that I'm not satisfied with is the use of spin. So you're gonna notice here that I'm coming in pretty much online, but using a little bit too little backspin here, and which means that we obviously come long a bit there, which is not something that we do want to do, and therefore we need to tweak that and use 4 bars of backspin, or we need to back up our target even more. But the further you back up, the more inconsistent the fairway is going to be, so have that in mind. So what did we learn about this one? We learned that first and foremost we need 4 bars of backswing to play the shot that I described here. Second, there is a rough bump, but the rough bump is gonna be something that I would only recommend you to do if you feel extremely comfortable with your adjustment. And also, honestly, I want to stretch it towards having a quarterback so you can actually have a great ball left or a great ball right, so you don't risk missing the rough with a single great if playing with extra mile or the Thor's hammer or something like that. Navigate the ball to reduce the wind, and then we do have the Sniper or the Viper, whatever club that gives you 4 bars of backspin. Both of them is going to be better than the Big Dog, as the Big Dog has a very crappy accuracy, a very crappy ball guideline, and therefore it's very difficult to estimate how that is going to be. In the end though, tough par 3 to get something good at, but in the end, if we can get close, like we are here, we can definitely tweak it and get closer, and maybe we're gonna have a ball slip in or so. So let's take a look at the drive, and we start by going on the right side. The game makers here wants to fool us by going left, but the problem is that we're gonna shoot to the right for the second shot, and if we play the super simple drive on the left, we're gonna have a much longer distance towards the pin for the second shot. I use max side spin to the right, which is side spin 2 here with a side spin 2 ball, and then I'm going to go without any top or backspin. You can see that I'm trying to just picture myself, okay, how long will this ball roll? And in the end though, we do want to roll our ball nice and safely down the fairway without obviously rolling into the rough. Because if we roll into the rough, then the eagle is almost bye-bye. Because this is a long par 5, and so in the end, if you want to choose anything, rather go a little short like we're doing here than going super duper close to the rough. 20% over adjustment for the drive is what I'm using, and I would recommend that if you do have a little headwind, use 1 to 2 bars of topspin. If you do have a tailwind, I would actually recommend to go with half a bar of backspin just to compensate for the compressed and the extended ball guideline. Second shot is going to be with the club that gives you the most distance and topspin. It could be the Big Dog, it could be the Cataclysm, it could also be the Horizon. And obviously if we do have a headwind, we are going to have to go with max overpower for this shot. And it might look silly that I'm just trying to smash this ball into the rough, but the plan here is to get the ball to bounce and then to bounce into the rough and roll out. You can also do another way, which would be a single bounce on the fairway into the rough and roll down that little hill onto the green. An albatross here, yeah, it is possible because nothing is impossible, but I would see that as very, very rare on this tough par 5 of the Sequoia Creek. So, second shot, no elevation. We use max topspin. We're looking for either a double bounce and then into the rough and roll out, or a single bounce on the fairway into the rough to roll out on the green. Whatever wind, the wind makes the decision much easier there. With a tailwind, we could do a single bounce, but in a headwind, we kind of need to do what we need to do, which is a double bounce in this case. Tough par 5 once again, and an eagle here is massive and will bring you an advantage over your opponents in tour play and tournament play. So let's take a look at hole number 4, and here I do play with the Big Dog and the Titan. Not the best type of, the setup, but I'm gonna explain what I do want us to change afterwards. 4 bars of backspin, I play 1.2 bars of side spin to the left. You can see that I deliberately aim a little bit more to the right of the pin, and I'm using the fairway spot that is kind of boxed in a little bit, like above the first bunker, to the right of the left bunker, and to the left of the right side rough. Adjustment, I do use a 10% over adjustment, and I do play max distance numbers here. Ball goes up in the air, bounces on the fairway nicely, comes down towards the pin. Unfortunately, we need either to move a little bit more left, or we need to use 1.5 bar side spin to left in the end. Hard, obviously, when we do play with a club that do have a very bad ball guideline. Obviously, using the sniper here will be much better. But have in mind that I would like you to have at least a minimum 3 bars of backspin here. So if your sniper do not have a 3 bars of backspin, I would go and look at the Viper. And then after that, I would actually go and look at either the Big Dog or the Guardian as the third choice. In the end though, using a navigator ball like we did or like a Titan ball is okay, but it's kind of worthless in my opinion to play with a power 3 ball on a par 3. So using a Quasar that gives a side spin 2 is going to be better in terms of ball management in my opinion. Quasar to have side spin 2, and then, you know, we are going to be much better there. 10% over adjustment here. This one is what I consider actually to be the best one to make an hole-in-one on, as I do really like the spot that we're playing on there on hole number 4. So let's start off with the drive, and here we're gonna play in in between the trees, okay? And the reason I want us to play in between the trees is because it's gonna be very difficult to play around the trees, and we kind of don't want to lay up short here. We do want to gain ourselves into a position where we're gonna see ourselves having at least, you know, a minimum distance long iron or a maximum distance short iron towards the pin. So here I'm gonna use 2 bars of side spin to the left. We're gonna try to have the ball guideline very close to the tree there on the right. And now obviously I do play a very aggressive line here, guys and gals that are watching, and you don't have to play this aggressive if you don't want to. You can use more side spin, you can use the full 3 bars of side spin to the left and then reduce the top spin and go a little bit shorter than what I do, and then you will still be on the fairway, and then you have room for a great ride. Because with this adjustment here with the drive, we don't really have room for a great right or a good right or something like that, more than we do have a great left instead to compensate it for. Second shot, you can see that we are in a nice position. We are with a long iron. We're not entirely in minimum distance though, but very close to it. So I'm using 3 bars of backspin, 1 bar of side spin to the right, and now we do have a headwind. You can also notice that we do play this one downhill. I would recommend there to adjust with a 10% over adjustment based on your club distance. Here I'm not really entirely adjusting for the 10% over adjustment. That's why, you know, I suggested in the info box instead, so we do remember that for the next time. Ball bounces, and we come in here a little bit to the right of the pin and short. And the reason we do go short is due to the 3 bars of backspin. We need to have in mind that when we do have a headwind, the ball guideline is going to be compressed, and we're not going to get the rollout that we do want to have. In the end though, it's a decent chance for an eagle here in my opinion, but in the end the drive makes everything. If we mess up the drive, then the eagle is going to be difficult to achieve, and the birdie is even going to be difficult to achieve. But if we make the drive correct as we did there, we do have a chance for an eagle in a pretty good way. Let's take a look at the drive, and this is going to be a tough one. As you can see there that the trees on the right side is covering everything. Sure, if we do have a straight tailwind, we are able to bounce on that fairway in the middle and be lucky to bounce over to the other one, but that would require at least 6 bars of topspin and a good tailwind. Now, when we do have this type of wind, we are going to play on the left-hand side, trying to get the ball to be as close to the right side possible. Because once again, we don't really care about how close it is to the rough on top. We care about how close it is on the rough on the right. Because we are going to play on the right, to the right here, and therefore we need to really think about the course management here by getting it once again as close to the right side possible. Now you can see that the second shot is going to be severely downhill, but we're not gonna play it that much downhill as we do think. We're gonna play 10% over adjustment because we're gonna use a lot of curl, and curl does, whether we like it or not, change the landing position. So when we curl to the right, the ball is then going to be traveling more to the right, and with this type of wind, it's definitely going to be much necessary to have that in mind. 20% over adjustment is what we do for the drive. We do go 10% for the second shot, but as always, when it comes to elevation, it's a floating number. You don't have to use the same elevation, but we do have a lot of fairway and we do have a lot of room, so in the end a different type of elevation would work here no matter what. We try to get the ball to pin, but With lower level clubs, that's going to be almost impossible as we don't have all the curl needed. We do need to use a club with a lot of distance and curl though for the second shot to get ourselves down there to then ship it in for an eagle. This is a very difficult par 5. An eagle is definitely going to be very, very good, but we will see a lot of people struggling making even a birdie. Have in mind, once again, power 3 ball, big dog as the second club, as we do need the distance for the second shot. Then just get it down there, don't push it too hard, take the eagle by making a nice wedge. So the drive here, we're gonna play on the right hand side, and this might seem a bit, you know, aggressive, but I do think we're gonna take this aggressive route if the wind allows. If we do have a headwind, this is not gonna be a possibility. So let's pretend we have a crosswind or a tailwind. I'm using here a max side spin right, which is side spin 2. So 2 bars of side spin with a side spin 2 bar ball, and then I'm also using 2 bars of top spin. Adjustment, maximum distance with a 20% over adjustment. And then we're going to apply a little bit of overpower if that is needed, because that is all dependent on the club. What do you do if you do not have the possibility to play with a power 3 ball or a power 2 ball? Then you have to back up, use a side spin 2 ball with power 1, and then bounce on the fairway before the rough, using a little curl to the right to bounce over to the fairway and leave yourself with a long iron towards the pin. But the benefit from doing the drive that we are doing is that we are getting into medium distance of our short iron here, which is going to be extremely easier to drop, or like a lot easier to drop compared to like a max distance long iron or a medium distance long iron. 1 bar of backspin, aiming for the hole. I do not have a fully developed ball guideline, so therefore I leave the ball guideline short. And then we adjust medium distance with a 10% over adjustment here with our thorn, and then it's time to take our shot. Perfect ball it is, and the ball comes in here, and you can see that the speed is perfect and the direction is also perfect, and we get that one in for a nice little boom here on hole number 7. In my opinion, one of the better chances, if not the best chance, to get something extra on this tough course called Sequoia Creek. So let's go with hole number 8, and we're going to take this one twice. So 1 bar of side spin to the left, I play with a side spin 2 bar ball, and I'm actually using the blue ring to the right, then second bounce on that little uphill spot, and then the third bounce on the green. The thing here though, as I do not have a fully developed ball guideline with sniper level 6, is that I do forget to add some backspin. We do need to have, you know, half a bar to 1 bar of backspin here, otherwise we will come in super duper hot on this one. Look how hot we come in. It's almost like we're breaking the pin in half and getting a very lucky hole in one, in my opinion. But the good part with this one is that the line is correct. We do play medium distance with a 25% over adjustment here for hole number 8, so it's very much downhill here. And once again, I play with a sniper and I play with a side spin 2 ball. Blue ring by the rough line, and then once again, everyone, you can see that the direction is perfect when we're using 1 left spin, but we do need that little backspin as well. So we basically have the second bounce showing, like the third bounce showing that it should be just on the fringe. Now when we come in with the third bounce to be up on the green, it's very easy to get that little glitch roll that we're getting, and therefore we come in super duper hot. And if we wouldn't hit the pin here, we would definitely roll over the green and into the bunker on the back. So really pay attention to that. Use a backspin bar there to make sure that we rather go short and we do go long on this tough par 3. Let's start out with the drive, and here we're gonna play over to the left hand side. And the problem we do have with lower level clubs is that we do not have curls. So I do have a slight different thing for you here, is that I'm going to do a rough bump out on the fairway. This because if I'm going to play up on the right, okay, I'm gonna wait with that explanation to a little bit. So we do the rough bump, maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment. I'm using 4.5 bar top spin, and then side, like 2 bars of side spin, which is maximum side spin 2. We adjust up into overpower, and then I will in the end apply half a ball of curl to the left. And now when we take this shot, I will explain to you why I'm not going straight forward. The reason I'm not going straight forward is not because the drive is harder, it's actually easier. But the second shot is super duper weird because that fairway on the right hand side is very steep going left to right, which means that we're gonna have to apply a lot of curl and we cannot aim directly at the pin. And even though from this end here now on the left hand side, we cannot really go super aggressive at the pin, but at least we can go at the pin. So in my book, this is the much better way to play than trying to go for a much easier drive and then for like a super blind second shot that is going to be almost impossible to replicate and impossible to actually get to drop. I'm using 1.5 bar topspin. We should have used 2 bars of topspin. I would say 1 bar of topspin in tailwind, 1.5 bar in crosswind. And if we do have any form of headwind, we go with 2 bars of topspin as well. If it's needed, then we go with overpower. And obviously it all depends on where we are after the drive. 10% over adjustment for the drive as already said. And then we're gonna go with 10% over adjustment for the second shot. If you get this one to drop, then well freaking done, because this is going to be very difficult. I'm not ruling out that we're gonna see a drop or two on it, but you know, with that second shot there, they have definitely given us a very tough par 5 where we definitely have to just earn the eagle and be happy with that. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Rookie Division. We are playing from front tee, which you can find all the holes on tour number 6, the US Champions Tour for the Sequoia Creek. In the end though, the video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Make sure you hit thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and also if you do have any type of questions, you can email support@golfclashtommy.com or use the contact form on the website. Thank you once again for watching, and a massive good luck in the Redwood Cup Tournament.